Okay, everybody, welcome back. If you are enjoying the content, please like and subscribe and give me your feedback in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So at this point, we should have a model that's been trained, and we've already talked in the last video about how it might not be the best training in the world, but we do have a model. So let's start building our prediction, which is how we're going to actually use this to predict what an image is, and we can generalize this. So let's create a new file, and I'm going to call this predict.py. This will be the file that's being used for making our predictions. And we're going to have to import some stuff again. So let's say from pill, import image, import CV2, that's OpenCV library we will probably use. Import NumPy as NP. We'll use that. Let's see what else. Let's import TensorFlow. And then let's do from Keras .utils. Let's import something called load image. Okay, let's see, that might be a good start. So let's create a function here. We're going to call this function image underscore predict. And the intent of this function, it will take an image, a random image that we pull off the internet or whatever. It'll put it into our model, and the model is going to make a prediction, and it'll give us back the prediction. So this is how we're going to actually start testing our model on images in general, not just the training and validation data. So we're going to feed in the model to do this. We're going to feed in the image path. Those are the two parameters we're going to pass in. And let me just put pass there for a second. And we're going to also want to use the names of our classifications, which are daisy, dandelion, roses, sunflowers, and tulips. And the model is going to give us an output that is basically an integer value that is in alphabetical order. So we can actually create something called our class names here, and we can just put them in order. So we can have daisy, dandelion. We'll just hard code this in for now. Roses, sunflowers, and tulips. So that way we can map the integer output to the class name. So we can just hard code that in. Okay, so back to our function image predict. So first we want to load our image in, and we're going to use the Keras utility that we imported. So we're going to say image is equal to load image. This comes from Keras utils. And we're going to put in our image path. So this will load in our image. Okay, next we want to resize this image so that it matches the size of our model. If we feed this image in, but it doesn't have the correct dimensionality, it's gonna be a problem. So our model was 180 by 180 by 3. We can actually just copy that and store that up here. All right. So we'll say image equals image.resize. And we're going to put in a tuple here that represents the height and width. So we'll say image width by image height. Okay. And next, we want to convert this image to a image array, a NumPy array. So we'll say image underscore ARR for array. So our image array is going to be equal to np.array from that image. So we've converted that image into a NumPy array. And then we want to have our input array. So this is going to be an array of images. And if we're just doing a single image, we would just have a single image in that array. So we'll say our input array is equal to a NumPy array. And it's going to be made from a list of images, but since we only have one image, we're just going to put in that one image that we have. So just to explain this again, because this might be a little bit confusing, all we've done here is we've converted our image into a NumPy array, and then we want to have an array of all the data that we want to feed into the model, and in our case we just want to feed in one image. So we're going to make another NumPy array which just has a single element, which is this array here. Single image. Okay. Next, we want to call the predict function on our model. So we'll say P, which is our prediction, is equal to model.predict, and then we're going to put in our input array. Next, we want to score that. So we'll say the score is equal to TensorFlow.neural network. We might have to import that. Let me see here. From TensorFlow. Well, maybe we don't have to import that. So we'll just do tf.nn neural network softmax, and then we're going to put in P0. And then finally, we want to say our choice. The one that we're going to choose is going to come from our class name, so it's just a list. And we want to choose the index, so we're going to say it's our np.argmax, so maximum score. So we're going to take the one with the maximum score, and we're going to select that class name as our output. And finally, we'll say print this image is a blank. We'll make this a formatted string. This image is a choice, so whatever our choice is. And then we'll say with a, and we'll say, let's see, 100, we'll say 100 times np.max score. So whatever our max score is, we'll convert it to a percentage, and then we'll say .2f. So it's a float, and then we can put a percent sign there. Confidence. Something like that. And then with this function, we will return our choice and our score. That way we can use this with other functions. This is not part of the tutorial later, but I want to use OpenCV to display the image and put the confidence value on the image and that kind of thing. So we're going to do that in the future. So we'll return our choice, which is the name of what the guess is, and the confidence score. Okay. So essentially that's it. So next, let's create a wrapper here for our main. So if underscore underscore name equals underscore underscore main, that way we can do some testing and running in here. Oh, sorry, let's go back. Let's go back to here. So let's create a folder in our root directory here. And let's just call this, we'll just call this our test images. This is the images that we're just going to download, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to pull a random image off the internet and try that. So let's say image of a rose, and you don't have to use the image that I have, obviously. You can take any image you want. Take one that you like. So let's take, this one looks good. So I'm going to download this, and I'm going to put this in this test image directory, and I'll just call this rose.jpg so I don't have to type all that junk in later, just to give you an idea of the workflow. So here's our image. We have it, here's the path. So let's do this. Let's just do file path. Let's just hard code this in for now, just so that we can get the workflow. All right, I guess I didn't have to copy and paste that, but I'm a little bit lazy. So in my current directory, I have a directory called test images, test image slash rows.jpg. That's my file path. And then let's call image predict function. We'll call that on our model, which we have to load. Whoops, we have to load our model, and then we can call it on that file. Okay, so to load a model is also quite easy. We are going to actually import another util here. We have load image. Let's import load. Oh, it must be, let's see, from Keras.models import load model. So we want that function right there. Okay, this load model function right here. Okay, so let's load in our model. So we'll say model equals load model. And this really couldn't be much easier. We're just going to give it the path that the model is contained in. So don't use any of these subdirectories or files. Just give it the directory that contains all of that stuff. So we can call this model path equals. All right, so this is the path of my model. I don't need all this stuff. I'll just shorten this up. So my model is in models slash model 1. This is all the stuff here. This is my model. And my file path is this image here. We're going to predict on it now. So we're going to pass in our model path to load the model. And now we have this will load our model in. And now that our model's loaded in, we can call our image predict function. We're going to pass in our model, and we're going to pass in our image file path. And this will print out, so we don't have to do any processing here. We'll just use this function's print function to get an idea. Okay, so let's run this and see what we get. It'll take a moment. It's going to load in our model. If you're doing many images, you're just going to load it in once, not many times. But once it's loaded in, then you can quickly iterate through your images. So that initial junk here is the initial loading. And you can see here that it thinks it's tulips with 57% confidence. So that's not very good. But you can see the workflow. So we basically have a pretty good sketched out workflow of loading in our images, training, building a model, and now we have a function here where we can feed images back into that model and test them. So unfortunately though, as we talked about in the previous video, our training method wasn't the best. So now in the next video, we're going to start talking about how to improve our training, how to prevent overfitting, and how to greatly improve the accuracy. I've played through with this before once a while ago, and I got this quite accurate. It was very fun to do. So that's what we're going to try to do next. So see you in the next video.